Hey, what is up, my anti-netters, my true anti-netters, and my shipharians, aka subscribers of the Scott Shepard Letter, the best physical monthly newsletter in the world about Zettelkasten, knowledge, writing, marketing, and absolute world domination. Hello to you, and of course, hello to you too, my freaking YouTuber, Zettelkasten, freebie-seeking shitweasels. What I want to talk to you about today is essentially something that is sacrilegious, coming from basically the analog knowledge revolutionary himself. And that is basically how to use a Zettelkasten with a Kindle. Okay. And so here's my setup. This is an Amazon Kindle. And I'm actually using using this. I'm reading the book called Automatic Clients by Alen Sultanic and another individual. And actually, the other individual is named Robert Nicolias. Okay, freaking hard to pronounce name there. And so you may be thinking, okay, well, how do you actually use a Zettelkasten with an Amazon Kindle? Here's the deal. You do not want to frickin' highlight, okay? That's the number one thing you do not want to do. The second thing is what you want to do is you want to set it up such that in the bottom right corner, you see right here, you want to set up the page settings. I don't know how you do that, but whatever. You do it in some way, some case, and you set it up so that you see the page number in the bottom right corner, okay? And then, and the reason I very, very sparingly read anything on an Amazon Kindle. I prefer the physical book, okay? However, there are cases where, for instance, this book is only available in PDF format. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to frickin' read on a computer. I don't want to read on my cell phone. I want to actually read in a nice setting. And actually, my favorite part about this is this little book stand thing right here, which is frickin' awesome. And you can even like hold it up here for books. I'm not going to shill an affiliate link or anything like that. I just want to show you. And, if you actually want to know what this product is, it's really badass. Actually, this is the coolest part. Whenever you're reading a book, and it comes in a set, whenever you're reading a book, you can like put this little paperweight down that holds it in place. It's freaking awesome. Anyway, I will actually tell my subscribers of the Scott Shepard Letter and, members of my tribe, what that product is. So if you want to know what this product is, just ping me in our tribe members community that you get with the Scott Shepard Letter, and I'll tell you. Anyway, I wasn't planning on shilling the Scott Shepard Letter, but you know what? That's just what seems to happen. So anyway, here's how you go about using a Zettelkasten with an Amazon Kindle. When you're reading, you do not highlight. What you do is, just like I teach in my Anti-Net Zettelkasten book, which is in the chapter of extraction. Let me see if I can find it. This chapter, yeah, here we go. So you don't want to do the marginalia stream. You want to basically, on page 422, or actually 421 is the best way to start. I detail the whole process of the bib card reading method, and you can actually use this with an Amazon Kindle. Okay, so the core framework is, of course, Anti-Net Zettelkasten book, the best book ever written. Check it out. The core framework is essentially what you do is you read this book, and now that you have the page number in the bottom right corner of your Kindle, you essentially put the page number and then write down a brief idea of what it entailed, okay? And then you do the whole bib card method. Okay, so I'm going to take you through, since we're here, I'm going to take you through, and we're actually going to install this. I'm going to show you how I actually install this stuff in my own Anti-Net Zettelkasten, the real Zettelkasten, that thing right over there. Okay, so let's zoom in here so you can see what I'm actually going to do. All right, so how I'm reading this book, okay, I don't really have a book idea in my head of like, hey, I'm writing and working on like an actual book here. So all of this stuff is I'm creating these bib notes on this bib card just so I can like basically pull out this bib card, and these I've actually created 2 so far, okay, and then just refresh myself and jog my memory on what I learned in this book. Okay, so there's one thing though, is it came about on page 40. I really liked what he wrote. He said there's a difference between a value vehicle versus a loss leader versus a tripwire. Okay, and a tripwire is essentially it's something I go into length on this in my Right to Freedom course. So I underlined that because I wanted to see if I had actually installed or written down anything in regards to a tripwire. Okay, and so let me just, what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you this, is I'll zoom this out, and I'm going to see, I'm going to first search my index in the T section to see if you can see this, tribe, troll, titles, traits, no. So I'm going to see if I have an individual index key term card, which I talk about in the index chapter of my book. Trust, no, no, nope. Cool, so I don't have anything installed on a tripwire, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I actually wrote about the tripwire recently. So I'm gonna take out this T card in my index, and then what I'm going to do is actually, you know what I wanna do, because I think tripwire is gonna come up a lot, is instead of installing and putting a tripwire right here, I'm going to make a dedicated index key term card, okay? Actually, I'll show you where I talk about this in my book. It's in the index chapter, which I don't know if people have read. I haven't gotten a lot of feedback on it, but they're these things called key term index cards, which is this, where you dedicate an actual index card to a certain term or a topic, okay? So that's what I'm going to create right now. That's on page 305 of my book, if you want to more detailed explanation of this whole process. Okay, so what I'm going to write down right here is tripwire, and then tripwire. Okay, and then I'm going to show you this. I've been developing out by hand for the past year an incubator program, and how I believe in teaching my students is not by just sitting in front of a bunch of slides, but it's essentially, I want them to do something that Gary Halbert, the copywriter, talked about, and how I've learned how to actually learn stuff, which is writing it out by hand. So I've created a whole section of things that I'm installing in my people's mind, my incubator's mind. Those in my incubator, which is called Right to Freedom, and I have them write things out by hand. And I recall, let me see where this is. We have a section in here on the concept of a tripwire, okay? And it's coming up here very, very soon. Okay, and I'm to be, basically here. Okay, no, it's not that. Oh yeah, no, I think it's back here actually. Okay, here it is. Okay, so it's the address of it is 5167/8. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on this this section right here, tripwire, I'm going to put main, and then I'm going to put in Right to Freedom, WTF, which I love. That's the acronym, Right to Freedom. I'm going to put 5167/8. Okay, now I'm going to be able to find it. But more importantly, because I am reading the basically Alen Sultanic's book, Automatic Clients, I now have a reference to the tripwire, which I kind of like. Is he talks about the different types of tripwires and all of this stuff, but he has an alternate term for tripwires, which is a little bit better than denoting or like implying that people that purchase one of your products, you're setting them up in a tripwire. So what I'm going to do is also on this key term index card, I'm going to put basically in the top right corner, I have this B.Sultanic AC, so that signals to me that it is from this book, because on the back of the bib card, I can see that that's the book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put alternate name. I'm going to put value vehicle. What we're creating here is an XREF, okay? And then I'm going to put B.Sultanic Sultanic AC. You can see this. And then page, what was that page number? Page 40. Okay. And then I also have another right here, types of tripwires. So I'm going to put types of, and then I'm going to put b.sultanic AC, comma, what was that, page 43. Okay. That way, when I want to talk about tripwires next, and I thought about even, introducing this in my incubator of like, but I actually, it's like kind of overcomplicated for me to teach them about, alternative terms and all that stuff. So I haven't. However, if I want to write and go into detail and depth, like a chapter in a book, like a marketing book or something later on, about tripwires, then now I have this and now I can include this and at least include it as a footnote, or something, and add, extended context. So you see what's happening is by doing this right now, I'm basically planting a seed so that in, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, the next time I go to write about tripwires, I actually have selected relevant and extracted relevant information that I could see being valuable and useful. You're not just farting around on Kindle and like highlighting stuff and never reading it again, which it will remain in the silo, the black hole of Kindle. You are essentially, extracting this out and setting yourself up in the future for success. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to navigate back and we're going to file this and install this in my index. So now we just have to look it up. So it will go before this trust. So I'm going to put tripwire in here. All right. That's pretty much it. Pretty simple. So let's navigate over here. And I'm going to install this T card behind that. Get it all organized. Again, this is kind of hard. This is hard to frickin' do with one hand. So maybe I can pull this up. I don't know. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. Oh, well, this is 10 times easier. So, yeah. Then we're just basically going to file it. And boom. Then we're done. Okay. Next up, let's move over and look at another example here of how to actually use the Zettelkasten with a Kindle. Okay. So now we've done the tripwire. There's nothing really else to install except this levels of awareness. This one is actually pretty good. Like the types, and I did a squiggly underline if you can see that, because it's not really a necessity or requirement for me to actually install this, but I want to see, let's go and see and navigate what is in my index here. Under awareness, if I have anything under awareness. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go and search for a key term index card for awareness. WXYZ. Okay. I'm just going to navigate around here. Okay, so I don't have a dedicated key term index card for awareness. Now, here's what's interesting. I just saw it. So right here, look at this. It says awareness, see self-awareness. So that's kind of creating an associative link between, you can link even within your own index, okay? So let's go check out what self-awareness says. You can see this. Okay, so I have this whole self. This is actually a really fascinating card. It's like all of these self types of, okay, self-awareness, main psychology. This is really fascinating, okay? So we have a lot of the like self-awareness in terms of psychology, self-analysis, social comparison, self-awareness, mindfulness, stuff like that. So we don't really have an actual awareness card for like the types of awareness a customer is. And, I'm not really going to bother with that right now. Like I don't really intend to write about the different levels of awareness. And when I do intend to like write a book about marketing or something like that, I'm going to review all of this and be able to see this levels of awareness. And at that point, I can apply and use it if I want to. But the one of the interesting ones here that I want to show you is this this fame one. I was reading this. This was actually stuck out to me. It was on page 63 of the book. And he's like, fame is just lots of attention divided by time. Or he really actually said lots of attention over time, something like that. And so what I want to do, this is something that Naval Ravikant has done, and I really like it. And what he does is he kind of creates like a formulaic, he like creates like a formulaic basis or definition of things. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to write my own formula. So fame equals attention divided by time. Now, what I'm also going to do here is I am going to put in the bottom left corner, kind of like a footnote, in red, like basically an external reference to reference and cite where this idea came from, so that then I can elaborate and get more ideas on what he says about fame. So I'm going to put B. Sultanic AC and then 63. Cool, that's done. Now, what we need to do is we need to figure out where to install this. And normally what I suggest, I talk about this in my book, I talk about that you should figure out where to install a card before you create the card. Now, I didn't do that, okay? So it's kind of like a do what I say, not what I do in this case. But you'll once you start doing this for a while, you'll kind of create your own workflow, your own rules, and hopefully you won't deviate and go too crazy, meaning like go into a hybrid approach and start using Obsidian and just wasting your life and time. Hopefully you'll stick with the analog. All right, so I just looked right here in the key term for my key term index cards, and I don't see fame. Now, this is interesting. I do see it right here in my, this is like the main index, right? The main registry, perceived as VIP 5464/2027. So what I'm going to do then, 5464/27, is I'm going to navigate over there to 5464/27, which is right here. It's pretty simple. 5464/27. And there's all these accidents that happen as I'm navigating through here. This is the best part. It gets a little bit more light over here. 1 second. So you can kind of see this. 5464/27. Let's see. This is where all the magic, all the accidents happen. Because I'm like, what's going on in my mind right now? I'm like, why am I even navigating over here? Okay, so is it 5464/27? Yeah, 5464/27. Okay. Well, yeah, this is interesting. So this actually comes from this fame section. A lot of interesting stuff. So when reading the book, The 4-Hour Chef, which I read in like freaking A, when was this? Like 2012, 2013. He talks about like how to become a VIP and like posture and position yourself as becoming like famous. And he talks about sitting at the bar the first few visits and get the bartender to be your best friend and basically ask if you can tour the kitchen, ask intelligent questions about the food. He also says to sit by the pass where the chef inspects and passes the food and dishes. Any two top is fine, like industry lingo, stuff like that. It's funny, like that's comes from it. This comes from like another, status matters and like other stuff. Like, so that's what fame links me to. And then there's another section on fame here. Let's see. So I haven't decided if I want to put it in that 5464/27 spot yet. Let me go back to it. So what I like to do here is actually is use these little placeholders, lime green, my favorite freaking color, which matches every single car I've ever had. And put a little bookmark in there. Where else does fame navigate me to? It says be indifferent to. So in 5464/5/3A, which is interesting, 5464/5/3A. Yeah, this is really interesting. So I then am navigated into kind of like a lifestyle, like life philosophy, I would call it, stoicism section. And so let me just show you some of these cards. So this is, you know, a quote by Adam Smith. It's like, praise doesn't make one happy. One must also feel worthy of praise. And Stoics are indifferent to what others think of them. So this is like the anti-fame section. Be indifferent to fame and recognition from Stoicism. That's probably from like probably a freaking gargled up Ryan Holiday book, which he basically just talks about Stoicism. There's this amazing Adam Smith book that I read, like probably 2016, and it's like satisfaction should arise from one's inner scorecard, not from fame. So from this, this is telling me basically, I'm going to install that formula that I used into that initial one, which is 5464/27. Okay. So I'm going to put it as, I have like 5464/27A. I'm going to install it as 5467/27B. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just, it's pretty easy. Write this down. Let's see here. Is and what was it? It was, I think, 5464/27. /27B. That's pretty much it. Of course, this process is like, I'd probably be done with both cards, installing everything by now. But since I'm talking to you shit weasels here, basically, it takes a little bit longer to do. And that's it. I've basically, and someone on YouTube was in the comments section asked me, they're like, hey, in your book, you talk about, evolving and developing thoughts in the short term and long term. Well, you develop, and he's like, what does that mean? Well, that's an example of long-term thought evolution. Like, it's freaking, I'm evolving thoughts that I've had, in place since like freaking 2012. And I'm like continually evolving, continually expanding. So that's how you're doing it. And you're rejogging your mind with what you've already like learned, like I had no idea. I don't remember my short-term memory, that I've read that book 4-Hour Chef, in 2012, 2013, right? Now I've evolved that section, that information over the long term. And then short-term thought development and knowledge development. I'll just show you this. Is right now I'm in the middle of writing out. I've already finished writing out issue number 11 of the Scott Shepherd letter by hand. It's like, 30 pages handwritten. So when you're writing, basically in the short term, and this entire issue of the Scott Shepherd letter, which is coming out, was based on, a lot of that was based on and involved, I had note cards in front of me while developing it, and that's short-term knowledge development. So that's what I mean by that. So as you can see, the process of installing knowledge and using a Zettelkasten with an Amazon Kindle is not that much different than using a Zettelkasten with a physical book. Like, the main thing is that you just want to get it such that the page number shows up in the bottom right corner so that you can then go back and reference it. And that's it. You do not want to touch any Kindle highlights. You don't want to do any of that stuff. So anyway, hope that helped you out. And then, yeah, check the links below in the description. If you want to support me, smash the frickin' like button. And you know what? If you're frickin' awesome, sign up for the Scott Shepherd letter. Because what we have coming up in this issue number 11, is freaking insane. I don't think it's crazy to me. Like, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, as I was writing it, as I was creating it, I'm like, I really should like shill this and like sell this a lot more. Like, I should sell like send out an email to my list like every day about how freaking awesome this upcoming issue is. And then I'm like, you know what? Hey, like, if people don't find out about it for like 5 years, that's their problem. Like this will at least benefit all of my people and my current subscribers of the Scott Shepherd letter, which my community is freaking awesome. We have a tribe. I don't even advertise this. We have a tribe, a private membership community, which has like regular meetings, weekly meetings to work on the anti-net Zettelkasten stuff, working on becoming a better independent writer, creator, and thinker, making six figures as an independent, and getting to like just basically fart around, create YouTube videos, read books, and think all day like I do. So if you're interested in that, click the description below. There's a link, the Scott Shepherd letter, free trial. And then always remember to stay crispy, my friend. Peace.